for being here. I really do appreciate you choosing to spend some time with me. Now, yesterday's video, I spoke a little bit about my rediscovery of magic. And when I turned the camera on, I didn't really have anything in mind to talk about, but I found that a really rewarding process to just turn the camera on and talk to you about what's going on up here and in here. So I thought I'd do the same today with something that I've been thinking about a lot, which is from the same vein as the troubles and the problems I was talking about yesterday. The rediscovery of magic, the love-hate relationship between magic, especially when it's confronted with the problems that practicing sleight of hand bring to the art of magic, which is strange. But yesterday's video, I spoke a little bit about that. So much more I could have spoke about, but one thing that came up that I wanted to talk about separately is identity. So that's this video. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I have a lot going on up here, so I'm just going to try and get it out, catch on film and share it with you guys, just in case it reaches that one person who this video might make a difference to. I've struggled so much in my career with identity. It's almost a constant identity crisis. Not knowing what to call myself, not appreciating titles like a magician. I never appreciated that. I never felt right to call myself a magician because I didn't get into what I do now as a magician. It all happened by accident. I didn't mean for this job to happen. Didn't mean to have a career in magic. And I never wanted to be a magician, and to this day I still have that battle in my mind. Do I want to do this? Do I want to be a magician? It's always going on up here, and calling myself a magician was difficult because it meant that I was no longer me, or it felt like I was no longer me. When I called myself a magician and I started doing magic, all of a sudden I was one of a million other people. I wasn't an individual anymore. I wasn't me. And that caused a lot of problems in my mind because I wanted to be my own person. It was important to me to be a unique individual, to be myself. And I found myself becoming a magician. I wasn't myself anymore. I was just one of all these other people. And that didn't sit well with me. So I used to call myself sleight of hand artist, Funks sleight of hand artist, deceptions demonstrator. Eventually, because of the TV show that I was making, which I spoke about quite a few times, it was called Deception Artist. I started calling myself a deception artist because I do think the term artist sits well with me and what I do, and I do appreciate that title. So we called it Deception Artist, and all of a sudden overnight, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 people were calling themselves deception artists, and it didn't feel nice. I didn't appreciate it. I felt like everybody had stolen my identity, stolen this unique term that I created for myself. So I stopped calling myself that, and it was a conversation I had with Michael Weber in Blackpool one year, and I was telling him about this story about the deception artist. It just happened. I was telling him how annoyed I was with the fact that so many other people had just stolen my title and started calling themselves deception artists too. And he said, lose everything. Lose deception artist, lose magician. Don't identify as anything other than Daniel Madison. And since he told me that, my struggles with identity were gone. They were dead. I mean, they're still there right now in a certain way, in a certain sense. Certainly not as heavy or as dramatic as they felt, or as big as they felt back then. That got rid of everything. So as soon as I started putting focus on just being Daniel Madison, and not being a magician, and not being a sleight of hand guy, not being all these different things, I just focused on being Daniel Madison. All of a sudden, the tattoos start showing up. I start developing myself as Daniel Madison rather than a magician. Now, when somebody decides to become a magician, they look at what's happening in the world of magic and what magicians are doing and what a magician looks like, so that they can too look like a magician. The problem with that is you lose your identity. There's a formula, there's a pattern, there's a shape, of a magician. There's a shape of a magician. He wears these clothes, he carries these objects, he talks like this, he presents things like this. He says, look, all these cards, they're all different, right? They're all different. Look, nothing in my hands. Look, and these pieces of paper, they've got nothing written on them, right? And all these weird things and these weird way of holding things and all these unnecessary mannerisms and actions that are picked up because that's what magicians do. That's how magicians teach magicians. That's how magicians learn. They learn to say these weird things that helps them become magicians, that helps them identify as a magician. And a lot of it is very subconscious and not even a decision. It's just picked up, and then what's the word I'm using? It's reused, it's recycled from one magician to another, and then all of a sudden this image of a magician exists and they all look the same. So in becoming a magician, and you can apply that to any kind of creative or any kind of job or title, I guess. They all have their unique shit. Their unique is a funny word. They all have their own shape, their own image. They all have their own little mannerisms and things. So in becoming a magician, magicians lose their identity because you become a magician. If you want to book a magician for a wedding, you type wedding magician, and you have something in your mind what you're looking for, and you find it, for sure you find it, and they all look the same. You find 500 magicians in the local area who all look the same, who will all deliver the same thing, and they're all exactly the same. They don't have identities. And it's a really sad thing, and it's not unique to magic. It's you can apply it to any other kind of industry and any other kind of, especially the creative arts. And I find that very sad. And I think the reason why I'm thinking about this a lot is because I started looking at myself very closely in my recovery in this year. Why I've been through this year, I started maybe overanalyzing myself, maybe being a bit too harsh on myself, and trying to figure out what Daniel Madison is, what I am, and what I'm here for, and what I'm supposed to be, what I'm doing with this camera, and what I'm doing stood here right now, throwing a card around, talking to a camera with these lights on in this weird room. You know, this whole kind of existential thing that's constantly in my mind, whether I'm happy or settled or not. I'm questioning it all, and I'm maybe being a little bit too critical and over analytic, but I can't stop it. So instead of trying to stop it, I'm rolling with it, and I'm analyzing. And I think one of the things from this year, from the transition this year, is, what am I doing here? What is this? What the hell am I doing this for? So I start questioning what I am and what I do and why people are watching this and why these connections are happening. And because I don't feel like I'm a magician, I don't feel like I'm one, because I don't do things the way a magician does. I don't fit into that category. Yes, I do magic. Yes, I try and give people experiences of magical experiences. Doesn't mean I'm a magician though. And then you get past that, I get past that in my mind, and I start thinking, well, I teach magic. That's the one thing that I do. That's the main thing that I do in life, is I teach sleight of hand and magic, because I get so much satisfaction from the process of teaching somebody or watching somebody learn. And in teaching magic, I hope and I strive and I try my best to break that cycle of teaching a magician to not look like magicians. Don't look like magicians. My number one lesson: do not try to be a magician. Do not put that costume on. Do not act like that. Do not say these things. So, going back, when it comes to my identity, what I'm battling with, I'm a magic teacher. When you break it down to what I actually do, I teach magic. So does that make me a magician? Does that make me what am I? So anyway, so this is happening up here and in here and getting it on film. I needed to just talk and get it out. So that's why this video exists. It's a very strange process. And the same with everything that I do. It's not for me, you know. What I'm going through is such a small thing. It's not even a thing. I'm making a thing out of nothing. But I'm doing it because somebody watching this will feel the same, and I kind of know that. I know that somebody watching is going through the same thing and struggling with identity. So me telling my stories and what I'm experiencing with it might help somebody, so that's why I'm doing it. So let's get to the point with all this nonsense, all these thoughts out of the way, get them out of the way and get to the point with identity. Do not try to identify as something that anybody can do and anybody can be. I made a video a few years ago and I still stand by it. It's called The Best. I am the best. And I say that to myself daily. I am the best. I'm not the best magician. I'm not the best cardist. I'm not the best sleight of hand artist. I'm not the best playing card designer. I'm not the best person to wear this jacket or stand in this room. I am the best Daniel Madison. There's only one Daniel Madison in this world, and that's me. I'm the best version of myself that I can possibly be, and as long as I keep doing that and keep trying to be the best version of myself, be the best me, wherever that is, whatever me is, if I continue to try and be the best possible version of that, I'm happy, I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing a good job. So when you're dealing with identity and labeling and what you are, forget calling yourself a magician, forget calling yourself an artist, forget calling yourself wherever it is you're trying to show people what you are. Me personally, I'm not interested. I don't want to look at a magician. I don't want to look at a sleight of hand guy. I want to see a person. I want to find out what that person is and who that person is. The people I'm interested in, they're not magicians. They're not sleight of hand guys. They're not musicians. They're not artists. They're human beings. They're people who I make connections with, and I look for connections. I think that's what everybody does. And when you try to develop an identity that has a label that's not you, magician for example, that label stands in front of Daniel Madison. So you're stood here, I'm stood here, I say I'm a magician, there's a label here, and it's built a wall between me being a human, you being a human. This video all of a sudden feels like it doesn't make any sense, but I guess that's the point. So if these thoughts might have helped anybody or started a conversation somehow, then maybe it'll be worthwhile. One thing I do want to say, I'm not going to waste too much time making these kind of videos. I'm going to start getting into what my identity and what I do as a magic teacher, and start using this, what I have, to do what I do best, which is teach magic and teach sleight of hand and teach how to do interesting things with playing cards. That's my vocation, and that's what I'm kind of tied myself to while I'm here. So if there's anything that you want me to teach on my YouTube channel to make this YouTube channel worth anything whatsoever, tell me in the comment section. I'm listening, I'm really listening. I want to start, instead of doing videos like this, I want to start getting the cards out and teaching you something that you can take away and use and think about. So if there's anything that you want to see, let me know. Otherwise, I have a whole series of things on the way. The Madison Trawlers are coming out very soon. They're about to be delivered to the warehouse. As soon as they're all shipped, I can get back on track with teaching sleight of hand and magic. Oh, by the way, my new book, 52, is available for pre-order right now. I'm waiting for them to be delivered from the printers, but you can pre-order them right now. Find out more on my website. I'll leave a link in this video description. And if you want to keep hearing my random nonsense thoughts like this, just let me know, because I'm listening, you know. But until next time, I am Daniel Madison. Thanks for being here. See you next time.